This demo will look at WilloWare's Manufacturing Import module for Dynamics GP manufacturing. Manufacturing Import contains two utilities, Bom Import and Routing Import. Bom Import reads a bill of materials from an Excel spreadsheet and creates or replaces an existing BOM in Dynamics GP manufacturing. Routing Import functions in a similar manner to create or replace an existing routing. These utilities are particularly useful if you have a system external to GP for engineering or quoting and need to get new bills of materials and routings into GP manufacturing. If you or one of your product engineers spends countless hours manually typing bills of materials into GP from an engineering system, our Manufacturing Import suite is for you. First, we'll take a look at Bom Import in action, and then we'll circle back to look at how it is set up. We're going to import a new archived BOM called Test1 for 100 XLG. As you can see, we currently have one archived BOM. This is the Bom Import window, which is the window end users will use to import BOMs. You can have multiple import maps. An import map tells Bom Import how to read the Excel file. We'll look at that in more detail a little bit later. The first step is to select the import map. Then select the Excel file and click Import. The utility reads the file, validates the data, and then creates the bill of materials. Returning to BOM maintenance, you can see that we now have a new archived BOM called Test1. Let's go back now and look at some of the setup options for Bom Import. The import map has two sections, header fields and line fields. The header fields map to the top left section of the BOM entry window and the default sites. The line fields map to everything on the right-hand side of the BOM entry window. Bom Import can provide default values for nearly every field. This means that a BOM can be created with a very minimal amount of information. At the most basic level, a BOM can be created by providing only a parent item, child item, and quantity. It can also handle a complex import containing all 55 fields available on the manufacturing bill of materials. The import we just performed to create an archived BOM requires just 5 columns. In GP terminology, you have parent items and component items. There is a parent-child relationship. So in this case, we're pulling the parent item, BOM category, and BOM name from Excel, and everything else is populated with defaults. The source value can be a column from Excel, a default value, a constant, or an auto-filled date. For the BOM line fields, the import required only a child item and quantity. Again, everything else can be populated with defaults. There are a few fields available in the header fields list that do not map to the BOM entry window. Parent template item and parent item description, and routing source item and routing name. Bom Import has an integration into WilloWare's item copy utility in our Manufacturing Power Pack suite. Our item copy is similar to the Dynamics GP copy item function, except that ours covers manufacturing and field service tables. There is a free version of item copy available with the purchase of Manufacturing Import. Bom Import can create new items on the fly as it is importing the BOM. It does this by passing the new item number and the parent template item into item copy. Item copy creates the new item by copying all of the setup from the parent template item, and if a parent item description is provided, it will use that as the item description for the new item. In a moment, we will look at an import that creates new items. Routing source item and routing name provide a method to create a very basic routing while importing the bill of materials. Note that this is not the routing import utility, which we'll look at later. Using the routing source item and routing name will create a new routing by copying the routing from the routing source item. Since Dynamics GP manufacturing requires a primary routing to make an item, the routing source item option provides an easy way to create a simple default routing. Let's take a quick look at the archived Bom Import spreadsheet. As you can see, it's pretty simple, providing only the basic information. However, as we just saw with the mapping, Bom Import does have the ability to import much more detail. I mentioned earlier that Bom Import could create items on the fly, so let's take a look at that. Let's start by looking at the import map. Again, the import map is very similar to the previous map. The only new columns are for parent template fields, columns F and G. Note that this Excel file is very similar to the previous file, but this one has two additional columns to provide the parent template item and description, columns F and G. The template item information can be on every line where the new item appears, but it can also be on just one line as shown here. Okay, now let's run the import. It reads the file, validates it, detects that new items are needed, creates those, and then creates the BOM. And here's the new item, 300 XLG purple phone, and its archived BOM. As you can see, Bom Import is an easy-to-use tool for creating new bills of materials in Dynamics GP manufacturing. Next, we'll look at Routing Import. This utility is an end-user tool that provides the ability to import new routings or replace old routings with an updated version of the routing. Routing Import works in a manner very similar to Bom Import. It has a mapping window to tell it how to read the Excel file, and the ability to provide most fields with default values. There are a couple of interesting options in here. First, it can import a routing note so you can bring in full text work instructions. And second, it can use opcodes. Now, opcodes are not often used, but they can be very helpful. Think of opcodes like an item class. It can provide a lot of the information needed to create a new routing sequence by simply selecting the opcode. Labor code, labor time, machine time, and so on can all come from the opcode. So when importing new routings, it can make the imports much easier if you can reference an opcode rather than providing all of the routing sequence details. We're going to import a new routing for 100 XLG called test. Note that we have only one routing at this point. The Excel file we are going to import uses opcodes, and we have one long routing sequence note in column G. Like Bom Import, once the map is set up, running the utility is very straightforward. Just select the map and the import file, then click Import. Now going back to routing entry, we have our new routing, and the first sequence has a very detailed routing note. As with the Bom Import utility, Routing Import is a very easy to use and user-friendly import utility for GP manufacturing routings. To learn more about this product or other WilloWare products, please contact your Microsoft GP partner or www.willowware.com or sales@willowware.com.